Okay, it's for my last time. I'd like to call to order the Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission. Today is Tuesday, 25 June 2024, and the meeting is here in the conference room. And following the call to order, I must make this announcement that this meeting of the Cape Cod Gateway Commission meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. In accordance with the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30 Alpha, Section 20, I must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, please make their presence known. Hearing none, I will ask for a roll call.
Chairman Griffin?
Here.
Vice Chairman Flores?
Here.
Clerk Weil?
Here.
Commissioner Bierwirth?
Here.
Commissioner Bailey?
Here.
Commissioner DiGeorge?
Here. Commissioner
G.O.?
Here.
And Yarmouth Rep. Christine Greeley?
Here.
We have a full quorum today.
Thank you very much. We all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, it says here we have minutes of the previous meetings of May 21, 2024. Is that out there?
We do not have those.
We do not have those. Okay, strike that. Thank you. It is time to open the commission meeting for public comment. Do we have any members of the public who would like to address the commission? If so, ID yourself and give us 3 minutes of your best commentary. Hearing none, I think we can close public comment. Doesn't require any commissioner's response. Report from the subcommittees. Finance commissioners, Finance Subcommittee Commissioner Norm Weil, have you got a report for us, please?
Yes, sir. The Finance Subcommittee of the Cape Cod Gateway Airport met on Tuesday, June 4th. The meeting was held via Zoom. It was called to order at 8:30 a.m. Commissioners Weil, Flores, and Bailey were all present. We approved the minutes of the April 2nd and May 7th meeting. There was no old business. For new business, we discussed FI 0624-1, approval of the lease agreement by and between Cape Cod Gateway Airport and Atlantic Aviation. I will not be going into the details here since it's an item on this agenda for today. We move to approve it to be moved to the full meeting today. We moved on to FI 0624-2, review and approve license agreement amendment number 2 by and between Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission and HMI Parking Services LLC. Again, this is an item that we discussed and voted to move it to this full commission for consideration. So we won't go into details at this point in time since it's going to be covered in a few minutes. Review and approve for F0624-3, a license agreement by and between Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission and the Island Café. The Island Café has agreed to provide some seasonal service, which has been missed at the airport. That will be discussed at this meeting. We voted to move it forward to this meeting. We went over updates that will be covered at this meeting, and the meeting was adjourned at 9:17 a.m.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on Finance Subcommittee? Hearing none, Infrastructure and Marketing, Commissioner DiGeorge.
Yeah, we did not meet. There was nothing new to discuss, so we postponed the meeting.
Okay, I'm going to jump in deference to some of the time to the Yarmouth representatives report. Chris Greeley, would you like to make that report now?
No, I have no comments at this time.
Okay, thank you. Going into old business, CLM 22-4, Gateway Airport and the, I gotta read it in, I'm on the wrong page here. I need the full approval of the lease agreement and sponsor is finance. So, why don't you read that in, sir, since you're chairman of finance?
It's COM 0224-4. And it's a motion to approve a 20-year lease agreement by and between Cape Cod Gateway Airport and Atlantic Aviation effective July 1, 2024 for associated land parcels totaling 207,824 square feet as described in the lease. The sponsor is the Finance Subcommittee and it may be acted upon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
I'll turn
Discussion?
it over to Katie. Katie, discussion?
Sure. So airport management has been working with the airport's attorney, Anderson and Krieger, and Atlantic Aviation to develop a new 20-year license or lease agreement with Atlantic Aviation. We provided the agreement to the Finance Subcommittee back in February, but more modifications and requests for modifications were received by Atlantic that we needed to work through with our attorney. We did that. As of the beginning of June, both parties had reached an agreement and the lease was forwarded to the Finance Subcommittee for the June meeting for their review and approval and to forward it on to the full commission. The lease, again, is a 20-year term with no option renewals. The lease includes the hangar that is owned by Atlantic Aviation and land leases for the airport and vehicle parking and aircraft ramp parking. One of the aircraft ramps is adjacent to the terminal. We give them access to that ramp as part of the lease with one clause that's added to it, that if we do need that space for terminal purposes, for commercial aviation, that we will carve out that space and get it back to the airport. And they agreed to that. The base rent for the lease is at 55 cents per square foot. That's what is common for the aviation rental of land, plus a 3% CPI, CPI or 3%, whichever is greater, is annual. And then there's a 5-year look back with an appraisal to ensure that we're still receiving fair market value for the property. Currently, the area that they're leasing from us is just over 207,000 square feet. The annual rate is $114,303 and a monthly rate of $9,525.26. The lease also includes a maintenance plan to ensure that the facility is well maintained throughout its 20-year lease term. This includes does not include a reversion clause, but the hangar itself, we want to make sure that it's maintained. So after the 20 years, if they do decide to leave the property, they're leaving it in good condition to the airport. We have them maintaining the facility and providing quarterly reports to the airport that look at electrical, the building roof, the hangar doors, and HVAC systems. So that's what's included in the maintenance plan. That's all I have for the rationale for this item. Any commissioner questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman. Katie, the 5-year look back to ensure that we're getting fair market value. So it's 5 years down the road now, we're 5 years into a 20-year lease, and we do that look back. We find out that the market value of the property has gone up. What happens then?
So we would provide them with the appraisal that identifies what the market rate is. They would have an opportunity to come back with their own appraisal, and then if there's still disagreement between the two, then we would have a coordinated effort to come up with what makes sense for both parties. That is actually written in the lease as well, of how those details would unfold if that were the case.
And what happens if we can't reach agreement?
If we can't reach agreement, I would assume that we would turn to our attorneys for that.
Okay.
Yeah. I can ask Jennifer, since she's on the line, if you'd like me to.
Yeah, that would be great.
Jennifer, did you hear that last question in regards to an appraisal and review appraisal being done as part of the Atlantic lease?
I did, and good afternoon, commissioners.
Good
To see you all. It has a typical baseball arbitration or provision so that we pick an appraiser who gives a rate. If they disagree, they have the right to pick their own appraiser to pick a rate. If those two appraisals, I believe in this one, have more than 10% difference, or if they disagree, then they pick a third appraiser who has the right to then select the rent. And I believe in this lease, they are picking from what one of the first two appraisers
So,
picked.
Jennifer, when you say they
And
pick,
that would be the rate going forward.
when you say they pick from a third appraiser, it's Atlantic Aviation that picks from a third appraiser?
No, each of the appraisers
Oh,
that the
got
two
it.
parties
Got it,
selected, they have to go pick a third one.
got it.
And the third person then that third appraiser has the responsibility for then determining the fair market value for the premises.
And then both parties agree to go with that.
That one's final, that's
Right. Great, thank you very much. Thank you,
the,
Katie.
absolutely.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very well. Any other questions or comments? If not, I will call a question. All in favor signify and raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, it's unanimous. Thank you all. Before we go any farther, I'd like to recognize our visitors from town government. We welcome you. And we go into the next one. And this I shall read. This is just Atlantic COM 0424-5. This is approval of the contract agreement by and between the town of Barnstable, by and through the Airport Commission per Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 90, and the airport manager for the airport manager's contract to Cape Cod Gateway Airport. The following term and salary is recommended by the Airport Commission. The sponsor is the commission and it may be acted upon. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Mark?
I think Katie has shared the,
Yeah,
We have it.
Yeah.
we have it.
so everybody's reviewed it.
Everybody's reviewed it?
Okay.
Katie's reviewed it?
Yes.
Need any discussion? We've got a lot. If hearing none,
Move the question.
I'll move the question. All in favor, raise your hand, signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
You got, you know, you're stuck.
Thank you all.
Okay, right now, we're going to have a shift of gears here. We're going to go into executive session for a while. We will come back, so. As Chair of the Airport Commission, I move to go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30 Alpha, Paragraph 21A6, to discuss strategy with respect to the lease of real property of the Steamship Authority Parking Lots, as a discussion in open session may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, the Airport Commission. This meeting will reconvene in open session after the executive session. So may I have a roll call vote, please?
Certainly, Chairman Griffin,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Flores.
Yes.
Clerk Weil,
Yes.
Commissioner Bierwirth,
Here, yes.
Commissioner Daly,
Yes.
Commissioner DiGeorge,
Yes.
Commissioner Guiod.
Yes.
We are adjourning at 4:13 and we'll reconvene afterwards.
We will reconvene as soon as possible. Okay, we're back in public session. That vote has been taken, so we'd like to go to,
We need to do a roll to go back in.
oh, we gotta go, okay, please do. Roll call, please.
Chairman Griffin.
Yes.
Vice Chairman
Here.
Flores.
Yes.
Clerk Weil,
Yes.
Commissioner Bierwirth.
Here.
Commissioner Daly,
Yes.
Commissioner DeGeorge,
Yes.
Commissioner G.M.
Here.
We are back in public session
We're all
at
here, I guess.
4:47 p.m.
Okay, we're into the public session again, and we've got item COM 0624-1. And Norm, would you, Finance Subcommittee, would you read that one for us again, please, the motion?
This one?
And this guy here,
24-1.
approval of the option.
Um,
Is that the same thing?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure I'm in the right place again. COM 0624-1, it's a motion to approve the option chosen by the Airport Commission during executive session for future disposition of the Steamship Authority Parking Lots. The sponsor is the Finance Subcommittee and it may be acted upon in this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
We've had plenty of discussion. Do we need any more?
I would say that the only thing that we're looking at is to implement the exemption that exists under Chapter 30B, Section 1, exemption
Section
number
7.
7,
With a duration of 60 days,
with the duration of 60
with the
days.
negotiations.
Yep.
So recommended. Good. Call the question. All in favor signify aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Excellent. Let's see. John, 64-2. You want to read that in,
Sure,
please?
this is
John?
COM 0624-2, approval of the license agreement Amendment number 2 by and between the Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission and HMI Parking Services LLC. The motion is to approve amendment number 2 to the license agreement by and between Cape Cod Gateway Airport and HMI Parking Services LLC, effective July 1, 2024, for an additional 6,688 square feet of land. Sponsor is the Finance Subcommittee, and this may be acted upon today.
Second,
Second.
discussion.
HMI Parking Services LLC leases just over 29,000 square feet from airport property for vehicle parking. This is the blue box that you see. Here's the terminal here. It's grass parking that we have off of Airport Road that they lease from us. More in-depth is this area that they're looking at. The yellow box identifies their existing land that they're leasing from the airport, and amendment number 2 in the blue is that additional square footage, about 5,000 additional square feet that will take them to 34,029 square feet of land that they would like to lease from the airport. I provided you with amendment number 2 of the license agreement that we have in place with them for this additional land. The amendment will add an additional $6,900 per year or $575 per month to the agreement. Overall, from July 1, 2024 through the end of the life of the agreement would be $95,281 in rental to the airport. They are currently in year 2 of their lease agreement. Their lease agreement started in October 1, 2022 and goes through September 30th. So this will take place as soon as it's approved by the Airport Commission for that additional land. Any commissioner questions or comments? Their license agreement does expire in 2025 of September. And then in speaking to the procurement office, because we've already had a 3-year license agreement with them, we do not want to have a perpetual license agreement with them, so we would have to go out to bid for the land for vehicle parking once this expires.
And all of their insurances and liability policies are in place as it relates to us.
Yes, and Sue does collect their insurance from them every year, as she does with other tenants.
And we'll take into consideration
The additional.
space.
Everything on Amendment 2 follows the main license agreement that they have in place. It's just adding the additional land plus the additional fee for that land. Any other
Questions, comments?
So this is at $1.08 per square foot?
No, they are currently at $1.38 per square foot. So they're at fair market value versus where we are with the steamship, which is not.
Yeah. That's
Big difference.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Katie, forgive me if I missed it, but
Yeah.
you said you provided this to us. I can't find it. I have not seen this now.
Well, when I sent out the commission meeting 2 weeks ago.
The commission meeting invite?
The commission meeting agenda, and it was attached. And that was sent out 2 weeks ago.
I didn't see that.
I can forward it to you.
So this-
Did anybody else get it? Anybody else have a copy of it?
I got it, but it wasn't
I
signed.
have it here.
Well, I have difficulty voting on something I haven't seen or read.
We did send it out 2 weeks ago before I left for vacation, but I'll send it to you right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andy, thank you very much.
Quick
Yes.
question. Is this is closer to the area that we lease, right? It's not the area that we.
Yes, so here's your property, you're leasing this area here for parking. Their parcel is right about here.
And the new area that they're leasing is right in front there?
Yeah. So here's what they lease today, the yellow,
Uh-huh.
and then they're leasing further over to the east. It does not impact the property that
Okay.
you
Right.
are. I sent it out on the 12th, Mark, I'll forward it to you again.
Okay, because I have the agenda on the 20th, I didn't have anything. And then I have the 12th.
Yeah, it was attached, I just made sure.
Was it part of the same document of the agenda, or?
Yep, it was sent out on the 12th at, let's see,
350.
350. And
I
then,
have the agenda. In the agenda, it talks about leased premises and stuff like that, but it's not the actual amendment itself. You're saying the amendment itself was attached?
yes,
Okay.
as a PDF.
Why did you get it? Because I'm looking at your 12 email right now.
This one. They're two, well,
Okay.
There is a hard copy as well in the blue folder. It has a hard copy.
Can I take a quick peek at it?
Okay, this one is what, HMI?
Yep.
Yeah, this is what I see embedded in the agenda. But it's separate?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're quite welcome. Okay, are we moving right along here?
Well, we
have to vote.
Oh, I
Yeah,
understand, that's what I mean.
yeah, call the question.
I just, it says an additional 5,000 square feet of land?
That's
It is,
correct.
Yes.
I thought you said 6,000,
No, I believe that's incorrect.
688?
The amount, the 6,000 is incorrect, it's 5,000.
Ah,
Yes.
okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments here? Hearing none. Call the question, all in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous, thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay. Okay, 24-3, who else is on your committee here? You want finance?
Sure.
Go for it.
All right, this is COM 0624-3, approval of a letter of commitment by and between the Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission and the Island Café and Grill LLC. The motion is to approve the letter of commitment by and between Cape Cod Gateway Airport and Island Café and Grill LLC effective June 3, 2024, to be able to lease the cafe space and patio within the airport terminal to provide food service. This will allow cafe staff and contractors access to the facility prior to lease execution. The sponsor is a finance subcommittee and it may be acted upon today.
Our second, please.
Seconded.
Discussion?
Question, it says that they're starting services June 3rd.
They were supposed to, but they had delays with the health department.
Okay, so this is not, what's the current start date?
Right now, they hope that it's July 1. So in terms of background and rationale, Island Cafe has agreed to provide food service to the airport during the seasonal airline activity. They will be calling themselves Island Cafe Express. They are in the process of working with the town's health department and licensing for intended use of the space. In fact, they have a licensing meeting tomorrow, a hearing tomorrow morning that they'll be attending. They will be providing cold sandwiches, salads, and drinks to the traveling public.
I'll recuse myself.
They will be allowed to use the space for catering as well for on and off airport tenants as they so choose. They have also asked for the opportunity to have retail sales in the future. Retail in terms of travel retail, so essentials for travelers, snacks, beverages, grab-and-go items, small electronics, magazines, stuff like that, that the traveling public can take with them. Souvenirs. As we work through the elements of the agreement, airport management has provided Island Cafe with the a letter of commitment that was provided to you a couple of weeks ago. It includes their insurance requirements so that we can continue to work on the lease requirements that we have with them. They have provided us with insurance requirements that will be embedded in the lease. We have been identified, the airport has been identified as additionally insured already. Currently, the agreement that we're looking at is for a 1-year agreement with 2 one-year options for renewal. The option renewals will have the ability for us to negotiate the lease rate and percentage of gross based on the first year's revenue. So I'll bring you back to our previous Café inhabitants. It's not a hugely successful business here at the airport. Our main focus as an airport is to ensure that we have some type of food to provide to our customers. So right now, what dollar amount could they generate in revenue is really unknown at this point in time. So we want to give it a 1-year review, see what those gross revenues are, give them the ability to provide catering, to work with FBOs and provide catering to the FBOs if that's necessary. Provide us with documentation of their audits of what they did on airport property and how well they did in the first year. And then in year 2, if we decide to go forward, we would have opportunity to negotiate what those rates would be moving forward, plus a minimum annual guarantee or some type of gross revenue payment to the airport for use of the space. Again, it's hard for a restaurant to be here for a seasonal entity. Our main focus is to really just have food available at the airport. So I don't want to make it difficult for them to enter into the cafe market at the airport. I want to make it easy so that we have food and beverages that are provided to our customers. I will be bringing forward the lease after their attorneys have a chance to look at it in the July meetings. And then obviously the full commission and the finance subcommittee will have an opportunity to look at that. Any questions?
I have other questions. You stated that they would be able to use the kitchen and its facilities for on-airport productions as well as off.
Right.
So is there a limitation to that? Because that impacts our costs relative to electricity, to gas, to.
Right.
My other concern is the hours. They only have access to the airport when we're open.
That's correct. That's correct. So right now, their hours are going to be central around the airline activity.
Okay.
When that's happening, most likely from 10 to 3 is what they think that they will be open or what they would like to be open for. In regards to being able to use the cafe for production, if they wanted to do catering, that would be catering that they would have to include in their revenue generation for the airport. The reason why I offered that to them is to have another way that they can generate revenue, which also generates revenue for the airport.
As long as we're getting a piece of that, is my
Yeah.
concern.
Right.
Is there any provision for, I'm just thinking if people were coming from the outside to pick something up there for parking, like
Yes.
free parking for 15 minutes or whatever?
Yeah, we are. We're going to open up the employee lot and put some signage out that allows for free parking. We're also going to stamp their parking. If they purchase something from the cafe and they show the receipt, we will be able to stamp their
So
parking.
they can promote that.
Yes,
That's good.
exactly.
Did they apply for a liquor license also?
No, they are not including liquor at this time. It's only cold sandwiches, cold, refrigerated items, and cold beverages, non-alcoholic.
So when you say the employee lot, you mean the lot
That,
that it's gated right now?
that's correct.
So you
So
just leave the gates up?
we would leave the gates up.
And that's not gonna cause a problem for employees?
It hasn't in the past, it hasn't caused any issues for our employees that are using that existing lot.
Okay. And then the other question I had is you said that they would only have access to when the airport is open. There are events that occur that closes the airport, and there may be passengers stranded in the terminal, whether it's a snowstorm or, whatever, but you have to close the airport, the snow removal, or God forbid there's an accident out there, you have to close the airport. But there may be circumstances in which the airport is closed, and there are people stranded in the terminal.
That need food is what you're saying.
Yeah,
We can put a clause in the lease that talks about that, that it's for emergency situations, that it can be
Yeah.
negotiated for them to provide
Yeah.
food.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good thought.
Can I have a point of clarification?
Sure.
You indicated that it's going to start July 1, but you said the lease vote wasn't going to take place until this airport meeting in July.
Correct, so.
How will that work for them?
So it's been moving quite quickly in their desire to be here. In fact, Sue and I spoke to them last month, and we said, it's available if you want to start thinking about it. Sue and I were thinking next year. And they said, the very next day, they said, no, we're going to do it. And we're going to call ourselves Island Cafe Express. So right now, what we've done is we've made sure that they're providing us with the insurance requirements that's required. The lease is, I would say, 98% completed, but we still have to go through the process with the commission. So that will be the July 2nd meeting, the first meeting of the month, and then full commission meeting mid-July.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but that still means that they'll be going into operation
Yeah.
without a
will.
lease.
They will,
Yeah.
with just insurance.
Can we do that?
We have in the past, but it's kind of, it's a tight turnaround. The only other option I have is to have a special meeting of both the finance and the full commission, or we can just do it with a full commission. It can be via Zoom to approve the lease, but I can certainly do that to move things along quicker.
I think that's a better way to go, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Yeah,
Unless everybody wants to come back, I think Zoom's appropriate.
Yes,
yeah.
okay,
Thank you.
yep, you're welcome.
thank you for raising that.
Katie?
Good call.
I know I've said this before, but Island Cafe will be an Amplify POC company. And we'll get some good news media feedback from that, and Amplify POC will be doing some promotion for them as well,
Oh, good.
which is good.
Well, I can vouch for their restaurant, it's a terrific place, they have a wonderful breakfast.
Yeah.
Those of you that
Where is it?
Erica, it's right across.
It's right across
It's
the
down,
street.
it's down buried in the construction zone.
It is
Next
very,
to that dive motorcycle bar, what's it called?
The,
I forgot what it's called.
It's right down to the
Yeah.
left, it's right across
the
the
dive bar there.
David, do you know the name of the bar?
No. No, I just need to clarify something. Part of my oversight and operation is licensing authority, and they are on the board for tomorrow.
Yep.
They are asking for permission to have a license from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., which I believe we can move forward with the understanding that you will set their hours. So if the licensing authority is, if staff brings forward the licensing authority 7 to 9, which is on their application,
Yep.
I just want to make sure it meshes with the hours of operation that you're communicating.
Yep, so I knew that they were going to ask for longer hours in case of their success. They want to be able to provide breakfast if that is the case, which is why they're asking for licensing to have a longer time period. Right now, that they know that the core hours for the airport where they'll get the most business is 10 to 3. So we can modulate their starting times, but they wanted to ask for really what they essentially needed potentially going into the future, rather than just the 10 to 3. They didn't want to shoehorn themselves.
And if they were to come back and amend and want to get an alcohol license, they would have to do
They would
another
have to go
lap.
back to licensing.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good, thank you.
Yep. Even for cooking food, if they wanted to go beyond cold preparation route, they would still have to go back to licensing in the health department.
Would they be open in case of like major delays with
Well, I think that's what Mark was getting after, is if there is a delay, will they hang over? And we do have some of that language already in the lease, but we'll add some more of this emergency situation language to the lease.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we're gonna set up the Zoom meeting, and that will happen when needed.
As soon as we can.
Yep.
And we want to call the vote on this motion to approve the letter of commitment?
I would presume that's exactly what we're going to do with that provision, that we need to have a final approval. Okay, then let's do it. Call the question, all in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, it's unanimous. Let's see, very good. Moving right along here. All right, 0624-4. I'll do that one just for the heck of it. Motion to approve the Massachusetts Department of Transportation Aeronautics Division grant assurances awarded to the Cape Cod Gateway Airport for the purchase of SRE Truck Airport Number 27, $58,640. The Runway 624 reimbursable agreement, $3,080.93. The purchase of SRE Truck Airport Number 31, and that's $73,600. And the purchase of a tractor, $128,640. The sponsor is management, and it may be acted upon. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Discussion.
Sure, I think there's 4 projects that are in
Yeah.
there. So I just wanted to make sure that those were all identified dollar-wise. I'll go through that again. The airport received a number of state grant awards and grant assurances from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation Aeronautics Division for the following projects: an SRE truck, number 27 replacement, Runway 624 project, the purchase of snow removal equipment, truck replacement 31, and the purchase of a tractor. Those are the 4 projects. To receive an award and assurance when the project is already underway has been the status quo of the department due to staffing shortages. So oftentimes we're seeing that these are coming after the fact. All of these projects, by the way, have already been approved by the Airport Commission. They have been approved through our CIP process. So this is just follow-on paperwork that we're following up with. This differs a little bit from what you've seen with the Federal Aviation Administration, in which grant award and grant assurances are received at the same time. As soon as we get the grant, the assurances are tied to them and provided to the Airport Commission as part of that overall process. Replacement truck number 27 for snow removal equipment, $58,640. 80% is paid by MassDOT Aeronautics, 20% by the airport. Runway 624 regulatory agreement in the amount of $3,080.93. This is the 5% that's being paid by MassDOT Aeronautics. 5% was already paid by the airport, 90% paid by the FAA. The purchase of snow removal equipment for replacement of airport truck number 31 in the amount of $73,600. This dollar amount is the 80% paid by MassDOT Aeronautics. The purchase of tractor at $128,640. Again, this is the 80% that MassDOT participates in the purchase of that piece of equipment. I would like to thank the Aeronautics Division for their continued funding support of the airport. They continue to provide us with vital funding that's needed for equipment purchases such as these. These particular equipment purchases, except for the 624 project, these particular purchases are not something that the Federal Aviation Administration would particularly participate on. So this additional fund is coming from the Airport Safety and Maintenance Program through the state, and that's an 80-20 split. So with 3 of these items being an 80-20 split, and 1 item being their 5% share of a federal project, that's the request for the grant assurances and for those to be signed. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
The purchase of the tractor, $128,640, that's not 5%, is it?
That's the 80% that
That's the
MassDOT,
80%
yeah,
that MassDOT's giving?
correct.
And then we pay
We pay 20%,
20%, okay.
yeah, the other 20%.
And what kind of tractor is this?
So it's a tractor, Matt can
going
probably
into
provide
farming.
you with more detail. It is a tractor that comes with a lot of attachments that's also used for snow removal purposes.
Okay.
But I will let Matt tell you all the attachments because my mind just it glazed over when they started talking about that.
So it would be the large scale tractor you'd see on an airfield, so it has a 18-foot mowing deck, the wings fold up, so it does the large grass areas.
Got it.
It has
Okay.
a bucket on the front that, as Katie said, we use for snow. We could use for small loader operations. It has a backhoe attachment and large size post hole diggers. We use those to set light cans and bases for signs
Sure.
on the airfield. So it's a significant number of attachments that go with it, but its primary mission is really cutting the grass in the summertime.
It's the Swiss Army knife of tractors.
Yeah.
It is. And we have another tractor that's similar to this, that's older, that has very similar attachments, so we can interchange if we need to.
Great, thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt.
Excellent. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Excellent. Very good. Commissioner Guiod, you want to do this next one, please?
Yes, so this agenda item refers to the approval of a 5-year strategic planning model for the Cape Cod Gateway Airport and discussion of stakeholder development. This is the strategic planning model that was presented to the Airport Commission at our last special meeting, and I had a one-on-one meeting with Ms. Bierwirth to brief her on the same model. Thank you, John. Yep, this is it here. So the purpose of this motion is for the Commission to accept the MVP strategic planning model as the model we're gonna use to develop our 5-year plan. So, it's on the table for someone to make a motion on
I'll
this.
second that.
I haven't made a motion, I'm asking for a motion.
I thought you made the
Okay,
motion.
I thought you, okay,
I'll
John?
make the motion to approve the 5-year strategic plan model to be used to develop the Cape Cod Gateway Airport strategic plan and to discuss the stakeholder development.
Second.
This is the strategic planning ad hoc committee may be acted upon.
And we have a second.
Okay.
Second.
The need for any further discussion?
I think the only thing is we should probably identify set dates that we're going to meet for the ad hoc committee. You know, we do meet with our subcommittees on Tuesdays. We have not had the opportunity to have a lot of discussion for our infrastructure subcommittee as of late. It's up to the commission. Do we want to utilize that time frame at 10:30, the first Tuesday of each month, to at least have the ad hoc? If there is an infrastructure and marketing item that we need to bring to the floor, then we can do so as well and add that to the agenda. But I think that timing-wise, everybody seems to be available on those dates. That's my suggestion, just so we can start getting this moving forward.
Sounds good to me.
The other thing that has to happen, Mr. Chairman, is that we have to identify who the stakeholders are going to be that'll be involved in the process.
And that comes after we've established the,
I think you wanted to have some discussion today, correct?
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
it's, because we've all been briefed on the model, and of course, you know, the more inclusive this is with the airport organization, the more effective the outcome is going to be. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have commission representation in the process, and Katie, for your team, the more the merrier, so I don't know whether you want to invite all the employees or make sure the union rep is involved and your managers, admin people. I think that there should be a town representative involved and a community representative involved.
Yeah, that's
Those
correct.
are my recommendations.
Yeah, and I think it's important for us to have all of those players be part of that. I think Matt and I would probably start with our supervisors and our union rep, but I would offer it to all of our airport employees so that they can be part of it. I think it's important for them to be part of it so that they can understand firsthand how we're moving forward.
Yes.
So that's first and foremost. Secondarily, from a community standpoint, yes, Chris Greeley, you know, obviously we would want some representation from your Hyannis Park Civic Association, as well as other civic associations. We talked about town council representation to be part of this as a whole to develop the plan.
There is a liaison from the council.
Correct.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And how about the other businesses at the airport?
Yes, we also would be including our tenants, we talked about that as well. So what I envision is working with Mark to put together an invitation letter, and then we'll get that out to the parties and then identify who are going to be our stakeholders.
Yeah, so I would recommend that we don't really need any more, I would call it committee action, but it's time to get going on this thing. So the step is to identify the list of stakeholders, we send out the invitation, and we would have to identify a date and time when we're gonna initially get together. And then whoever accepts, I mean, people are invited, if they don't show, well, we've given them the invitation, but we move forward from that point. And then at that date and time, we get into it.
Yeah.
So there's really no need for, in my view, any more committee action on this, until we've got a plan to bring back to the full commission.
I think the initial meeting should involve the entire airport personnel. Should be a general meeting so that Mark and we can just give an overview of what it is that we're up to, what it is the plan, and knows they want to maintain an active participation. So but initially, everyone should be included.
I think I would like to get together with Mark to look at that agenda, so I understand what the agenda might look like, so that then we can invite the appropriate folks to be part of the meetings, whether it's, you know, do we want to have some internal meetings, and then are we going to have these open to all stakeholders? I just need to understand that.
Sure. Yeah.
Wendy, I'm sorry, you had something. Sorry.
And while she's thinking of it, this will be done in in parts, right? So the first meeting is gonna be to brief the model to everybody so they understand what the model is. And then the second part would be when we actually start working on the statements of mission, vision, and philosophy, right? And then once we have that done, then we'll go into the goals and objectives. So there's three segments to this that we would do.
All I was gonna say was this is an absolutely terrific opportunity for team building and strengthening the whole airport as a community.
Right.
Yeah, it's
That's
so
why I say
great.
it's critical, everybody
Yeah.
is invited,
Yep.
and everybody's included up front. Because everybody has an opinion on where we should be going, and what we've done well, things that I want to see improved, all of that is baked into what the strategic plan ultimately is presented. It's gonna carry us for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
I just did this over 2 days. Obviously, we're not gonna get 2 days together. That's why it's gonna be broken up into segments, but I did a 2-day meeting with the Alaska Center for UAS Integration, and their entire organization participated in it. And the passion was unbelievable. When they got into the breakout groups, you know, we had to send referees in there to calm everybody down and to get them focused because they cared so much about
Yeah.
it. They had an opportunity to actually shape something.
Right.
So I'm very excited about this opportunity.
Great.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, we need a vote. All in favor, signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none? None. Well, look at this. COM 0624-6, annual election of airport commission officers and appointments to subcommittees. And it's not a motion, but this is kind of a turning point after a bunch of years. I'll have more to say about that later. But as this is my last commission meeting as chair or as a member, period, after quite a long time, I will start by taking the position of chair, which I will be vacating, and I'd like to nominate, put in a nomination, John Flores, PhD, current co-chair. Anybody, is there a second, or anybody want to add somebody else, or any discussion? All in favor signify aye.
Aye.
You got it, pal. Shortly.
Let's prove that.
Next position is vice chair, being vacated by the new chair, which will take place actually effective the end of the month. But I'm opening the table to nominations for vice chair.
Mr. Chairman,
We got Wendy.
I'd like to nominate Mark.
that's what I'm suggesting.
Okay, we have 2 nominations for Mark. Anybody else? Anybody like to throw a name in? Anybody want to second that?
Second.
Second.
May we have a vote, please? Any more discussion? All in favor signify
Aye.
You got it. And I'd like to personally nominate to continue as clerk our esteemed Norm Weil.
I'll second that.
Want it?
If somebody else wants it, they may have it, but happy to continue.
I'll bet you nobody else wants it.
It's a very rigorous job. I have to sign maybe 15 papers in a year. So.
Well, some of them you're gonna sign tonight.
And receive summons, I guess.
All in favor, signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Chair,
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. Clerk. Thank you all so much for your service.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion. I don't know how procedurally correct this is, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. I'd like to make a motion that we grant Chairman Griffin the title of Honorary Airport Commissioner Chairman for life.
I will second that.
I'm getting old, that could be short.
That's a great idea.
I will
like
second
that.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. That sounds like a motion. Any discussion? I mean, good Lord, I'm humbled.
Guess not. Let's move it.
Call the question, all in favor, signify
Aye.
aye.
That deserves support.
Let's get back to the agenda here. Thank you, Commissioner, but now Vice Chair Guiod, or soon to be. Anybody, what are we gonna do now, Katie? We gonna,
Updates.
Well,
we
you
gonna
had
have
a few things that you wanted to say, and I am going to suggest that updates wait until July.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a few things to say, starting with gentlemen and ladies. Some of these are gonna require more than one signature. We gotta figure out which ones before you go running off.
It's just the one, it's just
Just
the
the
Just
one?
my
just the
contract,
That's the only one.
Yes, Katie.
and I need to sign it too.
Okay, let's dig through that. Anybody, what are we down to? Commissioners? We down to comments here?
We're down to subcommittees. Do you,
Oh, do you want to apply,
we did it?
do you want
Yeah.
to
Oh,
appoint
okay.
subcommittees now, or
Not
do you
this
want?
evening.
Oh, you're talking about appointment?
appointment? Yeah.
Okay, that'll happen. Not my department. Where are we here? We talking about commission, are we down to commissioners' comments? Or what are
Yeah.
we? What do you got?
That's where we're at.
We're at commissioners' comments. Anybody got any comments?
I just have a question. What do we have as a timing from the town on finding a replacement for Griff?
Well, I did ask that they only have one reading rather than two, they have 4 candidates that they've been interviewing. So they're hoping to have someone in place by if not the July meeting, definitely your August meeting.
Thank you.
So we have one meeting.
Of the town council, yeah.
Oh.
You want to go after me?
No, I have some comments to make at the
What, these?
subsequent event
Well, I got a few.
to honor the leadership and the number of years that Griff has been chair, so I will save my remarks for that point in time, but I would be remiss if I didn't say it's been an absolute honor not only serve on this commission, but to serve with you over the past number of years. Griff, you've demonstrated terrific leadership. You have a great history. I mean, nobody has institutional knowledge of this airport like you do, and it's that's going to be sorely missed. So, friend to friend, colleague to colleague, it's been a great run. We'll miss you.
Thank you so much.
Here, here.
You're here.
I'm humbled very much. I got a few things to throw out, just final comments, and I don't know if anybody even wants to hear them, but hey.
There you go.
If you look up here, you'll see in 1928, a guy named Dr. Edmund Ormsby was the first passenger to come into this airport with the first manager. That was my great uncle. My grandfather's brother. So, and my dad started flying the same year in 28 and subsequently wound up as chief pilot for Northeast, which pretty much established airline service here at Hyannis as part of their route structure way back when. I learned to fly in the 60s and keep an airplane here off and on, and I went up to Ben Jones, the current airport manager, to pay my bill for the tie down. And he said, we got this commission here. I think you ought to be on it. And, that was a while ago. It's been easily a quarter of a century. But, some of the characters we've met here over the decades, Johnny Palando. We all know this terminal is Boardman and Palando. George Parmenter, I don't know, some of you remember him. John Van Cape and Islands Flight Service. Johnny Van Arsdale, who created PBA. Jimmy Griffin down here at Avionics and his family. Bob Ferguson, crazy man that had the P-51 Mustang. He was just an absolute character, as is Billy McGrath. I mean, you got some. Yeah, interesting characters. And a couple of early on commissioners. You had the likes of Bud Gurley, who was one of the creators of Rocky and Bullwinkle. Absolutely, and Johnny Lamosse, who was a town. We had several managers along the way here that I've been involved with, but there was one long-term assistant manager in Frank Sanchez, and he was here for many, many years. And we have a new one now, but you may be that long, I don't know. Captain Brud Brialt, U.S. Coast Guard, he came aboard, he was retired, and he came aboard as manager and pretty much stabilized airport management here, which it was a very good thing. It needed it, and Bud took it on, and he got things remarkably stable. And under that, we had something happen that I thought I would see the sun rise in the west before, and that's this building and that tower over there, and some of the other surface improvements that I never thought we'd see. Katie came aboard as assistant manager, and we now know that she has been manager for quite a time. She's got a heck of a team here with Matt, Chris Boswick, Sue Kennedy, Chris Lounsbury is security, Mary McDonald, Kim McDonald. I mean, this gang up here, they're super. We've got an airport rescue and firefighting crew here that are, you know, if they were out there in the world, they'd be award winners, because their annual inspections and triennial inspections are always, always top notch. I mean, it's great to know that we've got that kind of talent here. And that's the same with our control tower crew. We don't see them very often, but they're up there, and they're keeping the airspace organized. And you know, we had a few past commissioners of note. I know that some people are going to feel snubbed because I didn't remember them. But guys like Mike Dunning, Art Kimber, who was a very unique character, and when he came on board, Beth Young, Dan Santos. But I'm going to say this, and I say this with great sincerity. The combination of what we have here and this current commission is an absolutely superb and talented group of people. And the town management and the citizens of this town should be doggone thankful for their volunteer service and commitment to excellence here. And I mean that absolutely. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve on this body for plus or minus a year or two, a quarter of a century. The airport is now a far better facility overall than it certainly was before, from, you know, just the energy of an awful lot of good people. It's an economic engine serving the entire Cape, and to some degree the islands, etc. And I will make this firm statement. Closing it would be utter foolishness. Don't ever let that happen. And right now, I've been cleared for departure. Engines are fired up, pre-flight check is done, and I will accept a motion to adjourn. Over and out.
So moved.
All in favor? We're going to do this roll call. Signify,
Oh. Roll call.
please,
Chairman
just for
Griffin.
the hell.
One last time.
Chairman Griffin.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Flores.
Yes.
Clerk Weil.
Yes.
Commissioner Bierwirth.
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey.
Yes.
Commissioner DiGeorge.
Yes.
Commissioner Guiod.
Yes.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Meeting, you'll know.